Chapter 10. Maid Mosul, look out, a voice cried. Belle turned around, her heart lurched. She screamed. A carriage drawn by four enormous grey horses was bearing down on her out of the darkness. She leaped out of the way, flattening herself against a prickling hedge. The carriage flew past her, disappeared. Shaking with fright, Belle pressed a hand onto her chest. Had the driver called out a split second later, she would have been trampled. "Where am I?" she whispered, looking all around. Nevermore stood upright, only a few paces away, its pages shimmering, but the library's workroom was gone. The book must be some sort of portal, Belle reasoned. A doorway from the library to here, wherever here is. It was night time, and as Belle's eyes adjusted, she saw that she was standing in a gravelled drive. Candles flickered and lanterns lining its edges. The drive appeared to cut through a vast estate, its ground dotted by huge leafy oaks, yew trees, roots, bushes, and shrubs cut into the shape of animals. Still trembling, Belle looked to her left and saw a pair of tall iron gates open to let carriage through. A coat of arms was emblazoned on them. It showed two cross cinches with a motto printed underneath them, Omnia Vincio. Belle had learned a bit of Latin at her village's tiny library. "I conquer all," she read aloud. "The property must belong to a general, admiral, or powerful nobleman," she thought. The gates were anchored to high stone pillars. Thick walls sloped off from there, and statues stood atop them. One of Hedges, god of the underworld, the wither of Persephone, his wife. Outside the gates lay a vast inky darkness. Belle looked to her right, down the long drive, and saw a golden light shining through the trees. Just then another carriage approached, this one drawn by four high-stepping white horses. Belle, standing safely out of the way now, watched as it, too, sped down the drive. She cast an uncertain glance at the enchanted book, trying to decide what to do. Part of her wanted to step right back through its pages to the security of the Beast's castle, but another, more adventurous part wanted to find out where those carriages were going and what was giving off the golden light. The adventurous part won out, and it usually did, and Belle set off down the drive at a brisk pace. It curved and dipped as it wound through the estate, leading Belle past heavily wooded patches, ponds and streams, thicket and brambles. There were times when she was lost sight of the light altogether and wondered what she'd gotten into herself. But she stayed on the drive and doggedly kept walking. A good quarter-hour after she started out, she emerged from the copse of slender birch trees and stopped dead amazed. Before her stood an immense Cheeto, a breathtaking baroque confection ablaze with candlelight. Painted carriages had pulled up its sweeping staircase. The driver strayed back, the horses tossing their heads. The people alighting from them were the most dazzling creatures Belle had ever seen. Their faces were powdered, their lips ruffed. Some wore tiny fabric beauty marks on their cheeks. Women wore gowns in all the colors of the summer garden, and men sported silk frock coats and matching breeches. Gemstone buttons winked from their waistcoats. Footmen in livery announced the arrival of royalty and foreign dignitaries. Belle watched wide-eyed as a Japanese princess, the Shah of Persia, a Russian count, and an ambassador from England ascended the stairs. They all looked so exotic and fascinating, and Belle yearned to speak with them, to hear about their lives and learn about their countries. Until she journeyed to the Beast's castle, Belle had never been out of Belgium. Kyoto, Shiraz, Petersburg, London, how incredibly exotic those faraway cities were compared with her dull, tiny village. With a quick glance around to make sure no one was watching her, Belle scurried closer. She had no right to enter these premises, but she couldn't help herself. She wanted to drink in every glittering details. As she hugged the edge of the drive, trying to stay in the shadows, she heard people call out greetings to one another and saw men bow to a woman and kiss their hands. Captivated, she moved closer still. A row of cherry trees fanned out from either side of the mansion's steps. Belle darted to the one closest to the house, hiding under the lacy branches. She wrapped her arms around the tree's slender trunk and pressed her cheek against it, aching to join all the beautiful people. But she knew it was a ridiculous wish. What a contrast I'd make to the elegant company, she said, looking down at her clothing, and my filthy dress with my dusty. But she was about to say, but the word died in her throat. Her blue work dress was gone, and its place was a shimmering silk ball gown.